All right, good evening. It's 7:01. Looks like we have a quorum here. So I guess we can begin. Welcome to the January 2026 meeting of ANC1C representing Adams Morgan. Looks like there are six of us right now. So we'll, I guess, in lowest to highest numerical, we'll call this meeting to order and then brief introductions starting 1C1. How's that sound?
Thanks very much. This is Howard Bollicky. I represent the southwest corner of the Adams Morgan 1C district. Landmarks like the Hilton and Oyster Adams Bilingual School, and then the commercial district over on 18th with some residential in between. Thanks. Glad to be here.
It looks like I'm next 1CO3. I'm Peter Wood. I represent kind of the middle-ish part. 1CO3 is 18th to 19th Biltmore to Wyoming. Includes Colorado Park, some other areas. Commissioner Diamond.
Hi, Maria Elise Diamond, 1CO4, Biltmore, Calvert Street, and 19th Street. So just north of where Peter is.
Scuttleson, 1C05. I'm from the Safeway back to the rear entrance of the zoo.
Linda Laughlin. I'm the northeast corner of Adams Morgan on the Linear Heights part of it.
David Fucillo, 1C08. So it's 16th Street to Ontario, Calorama down to Florida. I'll turn it over to 1C09.
I'm Catherine Swanson Palmer, and I'm right next to Commissioner Vicillo from the Harris Teeter to Columbia 16th. And that's about it. And I'm the last one.
All right, thanks everybody. So yeah, we have seven people here now. Definitely a quorum. First matter, pardon me, consideration approval of tonight's meeting agenda. It's relatively simple. Anything stick out? I don't think there were any late additions anyone wanted to raise. There are, I guess I'll go into later. There's items that we need to address in the future, but I don't think we had time to put them on to tonight's meeting, so we can discuss it later. Anything else that anyone has issues with? Consent agenda looks okay, stuff like that. All right, so hearing no further uh, anything, we'll adopt tonight's agenda and move on. So starting with I guess we're doing this kind of out of order, but we're not really going to change anything. So I'll go to officer reports to start. Chair's report. Uh, don't have a ton. I have more SMD reports, which will come later. I mean, it's kind of mixed too, because basically my main report is I'm behind on emails, and I have good excuses, which I won't bring up, but I've had a lot to catch up on, and I think that it's getting there. But I think most of it's 1CO3 and not chair stuff. In general, we have a fully functioning commission and I'm excited for New Year, so hopefully it should be good. I think that there's a bunch of different projects that kind of transcend the SMD boundaries that we're able to kind of push in this coming year. So hopefully that will go well. As far as like commission logistics and operations, most of it I think is actually treasurer stuff that we've discussed in the past. It seems like we're at a place that's very different than 3 years ago, which is when I first was elected chair, which is we have money to actually do stuff, which is great. So austerity sometimes I guess works, but we don't have to be as austere going forward. And hopefully the main thing we've talked about as commissioners, just kind of relaying this to the general community, trying to get back to where we have some people that kind of help with the more clerical functions of the commission. Hopefully that will be something we can move forward on in the next few weeks and allow some of the commissioners to invest that time into community outreach as opposed to clerical duties, which sometimes can get a little bit time consuming and a bit tedious. All right, that's all I have to say with that. Next up will be Secretary's report. Commissioner Swanson Palmer.
Yeah, I don't have much. Same stuff you guys hear from me every single time, I think, but we have office hours tomorrow from 5 to 6 p.m. They're every Thursday at the line. Everybody's welcome. And the committee meeting times are posted on the website on our calendar. And I don't think I have anything else to report for now, unless you all have questions.
And kind of to amend that, we haven't actually officially approved like the schedule for this year. So technically there is nothing for you to relay, so that's not on you, but
They will be posted on the calendar.
well, and I'll comment on that when we get to it in a few minutes because we are proposing some changes. All right, next would be Treasurer's report. All you.
Our current balance is about $21,000. In mid-December, we received our allotment for fiscal year 2026 quarter one. So that came about one quarter later than I expected. And apparently, this is not unusual given the way that end of year finances work for the city. Our next allotment is gated on some documents. OANC had some questions about very minor clerical things in some of our minutes. I filed our 2025 taxes. The Platform of Hope closed out its grant. We've renewed our contract with Sean Sullivan for digital meeting manager services. Thank you, Sean, for being with us here for another year. I'm asking tonight for approval of our fiscal year 2026 quarter one quarterly financial report. So that's the past 3 months. I was late for the last report and I'm early for this one, which is why we have two back to back tonight. I'll say more about that when we get to that part of the agenda. And that's all for me as treasurer.
And I will say, just having read recent reports, there's an auditor's report recently on another commission, and there have been others in the past. And even when we're late or have some sort of kind of inadvertent mistake or oversight, we're usually, and not us specifically, and most commissions in general, are just still doing pretty well. So like the bar is often quite low, and we're quite a ways above it. So like we can give ourselves a little bit of slack.
And yeah, I think thank you for reminding me. I wanted to say a few points on that. For folks who have heard about that information or about that story, just like a little bit of a 1 minute notice about how our financials work. Anytime that we expend any money as a commission, we need two commissioners to sign off on it. There's documentation that's collected and uploaded into a platform run by OANC. OANC reviews every single one, and if I, mistakenly put the wrong document for the wrong transaction, I get a little wrist slap for it. I upload our bank documents the first of every month, and if I'm a few days late, I get a little wrist slap from OANC. So there's quite a bit of oversight. There, every single line item that goes out gets some kind of review. My understanding of what happened in this case is that these were transactions that were made at some time in the past before the current system was in place. So I hope there have been many changes, I think, in the system that we use between then and now there's actually quite a bit more oversight. Um, yeah. I would
Yeah.
be at a loss to how to defraud. Anyway, sorry, I shouldn't say such things, but there's quite a bit of oversight, and like you as the public will get to see, you see our complete line list of transactions. You see everywhere money is going. That's all. Sorry.
Yeah, no apology not needed. Transparency is good. I think we do a good job and always hold us accountable for any expenses, and we don't really have any questionable expenses. And also, the previous system of having someone go around the neighborhood with a physical check and collecting signatures is not something we do anymore. So we do it digitally. It's 2020, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anything past like 2005, that should have been probably the case. So it's good that we're doing it. It's efficient. It does cost us what, like $5 or $10 a month or something to do those transactions, but a cost that we've decided to incur. All right, moving on in the agenda. Commissioner announcements, if you're the chair of a committee as well, go ahead. And I guess I'll say it, oh yeah, Commissioner Balaki, technically not the chair of the ABC committee, but foreshadowing the potential switch, which is
Yeah,
the only kind of proposed change. We'll just assume that that's your duty for now for
yeah.
these updates. And how about we'll start with you. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And I do look forward to chairing the renamed Alcoholic Beverage, Cannabis, and Public Safety Committee if we reach that point here later in the evening. But just a few things on the radar screen here in 1C01. We await the results of DDOT's traffic study on 19th Street, which should be forthcoming momentarily. As some folks on the commission already know, the Universal Building project over in the far southwest corner of the district recently got a nice funding boost. They were able to pick up, looks like 465 million and some change from the Property Assessed Clean Energy Program, which I won't go into in great detail, but it's a state, federal, public-private partnership that basically serves to get money into funding housing projects that are energy efficient, et cetera. So they've got that money coming, and they were able to plus up another one. Another grant, another amount of money they were getting from a Florida concern by another 15 million. So it looks like they've got enough money to to get things started and get this project underway. And it's going to be called, I have no idea why, it's going to be called the Geneva, and it's supposed to have, last I saw, 525 units, which are still the largest residential conversion going on in DC right now. And so I look forward to seeing this get off the launch pad. Over on 18th Street, I can report that the Blackguard intends to continue their streetery. I'm in the process of going through the tops review right now, but so we will have at least one streetery on 18th Street down near 18th and Florida. And actually, that's a nice little segue into ABC because the old Imperial establishment just south of there, their owner has is in the process of getting their liquor license renewed, which they were supposed to have the hearing on January 2nd. He wants to open an establishment called Harrigan and Rock Fine and Rare. I'm not quite sure what that is, but it's probably not a bunch of 20-year-olds doing Jello shots. So we'll see what develops. They've got a hearing coming up on March 2nd. They'd had an earlier one that was rescinded. In addition to renewing the liquor license, they'd like to do a substantial change to the license and allow live entertainment indoors. The existing settlement agreement expressly prohibits live entertainment and DJs on their summer garden, which is actually in this case a tent on the roof. So I'm curious to see, frankly, if people are interested in this because where this is located, it's not really close to a lot of residential property. It's close to a major intersection, and I have a lot of connections to Unwind Wellness, which is catty corner across the street. And the real problem on this intersection is traffic noise. I mean, I'm not sure how much music is going to be heard out there, but this will all be going forward in the next few months. And also the D-Light Cafe down up on 18th Street is having a hearing to renew their liquor license on February 17th. I understand that establishment recently changed ownership. And just one other little thing I want to flag in the ABC world, and that is you may have seen recently that the president indicated he wanted to move cannabis from the regulatory status of Schedule 1, which means it has basically no useful purpose for human beings at all, to Schedule 3, which is actually where things like Tylenol with codeine are regulated. And an interesting little wrinkle in that is we are currently operating under something known as the Harris Rider, which is added to the federal appropriation every year, and that's what prevents us from running a traditional, cannabis retail setup in DC, like so many other states are starting to do. But technically, if you do what the president says he wants to do, you're taking cannabis off of Schedule 1. The way the Harris Rider is written, we are prohibited from having a retail setup for anything on Schedule 1. So if you take cannabis off of Schedule 1, that raises the possibility that they've either got to rewrite this or they're going to inadvertently create a loophole that we can actually do what we wanted to do. When we had our our vote maybe a dozen years ago. I forget how long ago it was, but something to keep an eye on. And this will be part of the appropriations process as it grinds forward in the next few months. And with that, happy to yield back. Thank you.
All right, thank you for all that. One hand, it's good for us to be informed on the alleged issue, and on another hand, I'm like, should we keep quiet so they don't pay attention?
Yeah, I mean, this was actually written up in a Washingtonian magazine, which is kind of weird because
Yeah,
they didn't used to do any sort of local political coverage at all.
yeah, that's fascinating. Well, okay, so I'll shift to 103 matters. Some of it's related to liquor license and things. I'm kind of wondering if this year will be the year of like realigning ownership of a lot of properties. There's been a lot of kind of commercial vacancies popping up and things like that, and just changes of ownership and different things. So there are some different places that I haven't really gotten to engage if you're on this call, and I owe you an email or call. I promise I'm getting to it. I have my emails organized, but I'm just kind of going down the list chronologically. Because there are some places that are looking for some guidance in 1CO3 in terms of things like transferring ownership and just kind of understanding the process, or I guess relearning the process if it's been a long time, or some questions regarding settlement agreements. So we'll address those on an ad hoc basis, just kind of going one by one. Otherwise, in 1CO3, I think the main project, at least is on my mind, is moving ahead with like $2 million that's going to be spent on Calorama Park, with a lot of advocacy to get that to finally happen. DPR is starting to have meetings to have public input and just kind of public informational sessions to say, hey, this is what we're planning, give us feedback, and that'll help shape it. So I've had one of those already. It's to prevent erosion on predominantly the 19th Street side of Colorado Park, but water and dirt aren't limited to just street boundaries. So there's a lot of other stuff in the park that can and should and hopefully will continue to be looped into that, including like sidewalk repairs and other stuff like the southeast corner of the park at the corner of Calorama and Columbia. Like if you walk, there's just a ton of dirt on the sidewalk that runs off from the root system of the tree right there next to the composting garden. Stuff like that will hopefully be addressed. They've already mentioned it in their presentation, so we'll see where that goes. Uh, I think that's the main major project. There's other stuff that's adjacent to 103, but I won't get into it right now. But if anyone has questions about things I've kind of sent out in emails like the Taft Bridge and some murals that are hopefully getting replaced, removed, please reach out to me. On that note, Commissioner Diamond, the floor is yours.
Happy New Year to everybody. I don't have a big report because I have been mostly out of town since our last meeting. So just a few minor things. There's been a lot of porch thefts, porch pirates on both Biltmore and Calvert Street. And I spoke with one of the policemen at a luncheon back in December who basically said, yeah, we need to report those. So if that happens to you, make sure you call the police and file a police report. It's not unique to 1C, but it does seem to be, it seems like a thief has discovered Biltmore Street, so there have been a lot of thefts. Um, there also have been a lot of emails back and forth about missed trash collection, and I think that's just a problem of the weird schedule, how we've missed some days because of holidays. So just patience with that. And I don't email out constituents unless there's some emergency where trash is not going to be collected for a week. But there have been times in the past couple of weeks where it's been delayed by a day or two. Um, Second, update on the tree stump that fell over into the street. The tree and the stump has been removed and the sidewalk filled in. However, the stop sign still has not been replaced. I'm still working on that. Um, and also, I just want to say this has been a difficult week for us as a country, so it's hard for me to be completely engaged in all of this. And I just encourage everybody to reach out for resources and things that you can do if you feel the need to engage in what's going on. And that's all.
Thank you for that, Commissioner. Commissioner Olson, all yours.
No major updates from 1C05. I will yield over to Commissioner Laughlin.
I don't have any big updates as either. I will note that if any of you submitted comments on the DDOT Columbia Heights crosstown bus plan, because particularly to 1C would be the northeast corner of our neighborhood where they're proposing a roundabout and then to turn Harvard into one way for a section. I know that DDOT received a lot of comments from our community regarding that. And Kevin, if you replied or submitted to that survey, you should be on a email list. And he sent out sort of an update, but they got over 500 comments. Not all those were from 1C because this also impacts like Mount Pleasant and Columbia Heights. There's a lot of comments for that group. But I know we talked as a commission that we'll definitely invite DDOT to come to a future meeting to give us an update on sort of where that plan is progressing. So look forward to that. But if you still have comments on it, feel free to email them to Kevin Harrison and CC me on it because he keeps collecting them. But they're still early in the process, and this is what this is for. So just, stay engaged with it and we'll feed the information out as we get it as well. And like our treasurer mentioned earlier, we do have some funds now. So if you're a nonprofit in the community, we encourage you to look into applying for some small grants. We'd love to support your work.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fuccio.
Nothing for 1C08 directly, but 1C07 and 1C08 are going to be impacted. And actually, really, I imagine all of Adams Morgan. With the substation, we got a note earlier this week that there apparently there is water that needs to be removed to support crew safety. And so they're putting in a pumping station that's going to take up parking spots right there. It's going to require 4 parking spaces on Champlain, south of Calorama, and it will remain in place for until early September. So I emailed them back to get like a better idea of like how big this is, like what it looks like, how tall and how wide it is. So when I get more information on that, I'll pass along. But yeah, that's gonna come up the works a little bit over there, but hopefully they'll get through that sooner than later. I will yield.
Thank you for that. It looks like we might have someone from Pepco here if they want to speak on that later. If not, we can address it separately. Commissioner Swanson Palmer, how are you?
Thank you. Um, Much like everybody else, I am catching up on emails from the holidays. But two things that I feel like I've talked about for the last 3 months are ongoing still are there's a small sinkhole on Fuller Street that is continuing to push into the ground that we're trying to get fixed, and that Councilman Nadeau's staff has also been very helpful with trying to get fixed. Unfortunately, we are not hearing back from DPW, so hoping to get someone down here to take a look at that before it becomes a bigger problem. But we'll continue sending emails in the meantime and making phone calls because I'm not really sure what else to do. And the illegal dumping problem somehow has gotten worse on Euclid Street. And so we do have some residents who've posted their own homemade signs, which I really appreciate, asking people to please stop leaving trash on the streets. But this is another issue where we have asked DPW for a trash can. We've asked DPW for other options that they may have to help us stop people from illegal dumping beyond finding security cameras that can show us who's illegally dumping. And we have not heard back. So I wish I had more answers, but all I can say right now is that I will continue asking and will continue pushing to try to get better trash management in 1CO9, beyond doing community cleanups every couple of weeks, which are great, but not really solving the problem. And on that note, we are, I say we, but and hope everybody here will come, planning to do a community cleanup in 1CO9 or any other single member district who wants to participate at the end of January or the beginning of February, a specific date to come. But that's everything I've got for now.
Thanks, Commissioner. It's a good reminder for anyone who, I guess, as often the case, is upset with things that are not being done or being done incorrectly by DC government. Performance oversight season is relatively soon. So, as a commission and individually, because I think every year I've individually testified and on some sort of agency ongoings, always an option if we want to say, hey, do this better, continue to do this. You should, whatever our complaint or grievance might be. That's a good opportunity to do so. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you have to do it multiple years in a row and then you finally get some action. Just depends. All right. So next on our agenda, I believe a representative for Ward 1 from the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services will be here to say a few words. I don't know who specifically, but if you are here, please raise your hand. We'll get to you. Let me check if anyone's here. Thought I'd confirm with them. If they aren't here tonight, we can move on. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Stephanie. Perfect. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, all yours.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi, this is Stephanie Avinkler, the Ward 1 Liaison Moker, for the Mayor's Office of Relationship and Services. Um, Happy New Year's, one for starters. Keep forgetting it's a brand new year. So a lot is happening. We are running through the tape and continue to run through the tape. We're going to be servicing you, working with the community and everyone on board for the next 13 months. As the mayor has mentioned, we do have our on board. We have our faith liaison. I believe she's also has joined the meeting. She's gonna probably there she goes. Hey, Charity. And also we have Andrew, who's a part of our business liaison moker as well. Not sure he's on the call today because he does also work with wards 1 through 4. Announcement from our office right now, for my behalf. Just to continue to submit 311's requests and any other issues, concerns to email me or the team as well directly. But for right now, you can always just direct everything towards my email, which is stephanie.advincula@dc.gov, for upcoming issue concerns or just anything overall that we've already been kind of sort of already been working on. I know we've talk and do a lot of works and meetings with most of the commissioners, as well as Christian Barr from Adams Morgan. So we're kind of linked into everyone in the community. But so I just kind of just repeated myself, just for those that haven't or not aware. We're always in the area. You always seen me in my green shirt or not, but always here. If you see me, just flag me down or say, "Hey, stop me." I'm always here to issues concerned to solve all that we can as much as we can, and very, very much aware in regards to any missed trash collection or recycling. We know there's been a few delays in the communities without throughout the wars and also just throughout the city. Tree collections, we are aware of that. This is that time of the season where you also will be, we will collect, DPW will be collecting tree collections as well. I know many are not a fan of the but was proposed to leave the trees, the Christmas trees out on the side or just with your recycling and your trash as well, because it also adds on to the fact that now you have to possibly get that picked up and it also might not just because it has to fit whatever it can fit onto the truck. So that's also a flag that we are aware of. But I just wanted to point that out. But again, Stephanie Avincula here at your service.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for that.
You're
Commissioner,
welcome.
while we have them, any questions, comments, commissioners? All right. Thank you so much for being here and have a good rest of your evening. All right. Next, we have public announcements. So if you're here to make comments as an individual or as representative of some institution, organization, DC government, etc., please state as much. We'll get to you in the order your hands are raised, or at least the order that I see them. So first from Pepco, Trevor's Culpepper. Good evening, Trevor's. How are you doing?
Oh, good afternoon. I mean, good evening. How's everyone doing? Can you guys see me?
You're good, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Just wanted to come and just provide an update on the activity taking place with the Champlain substation. I know there was a question about the email that was shared earlier this week, and just wanted to provide an update. As you guys probably have seen, we have done a lot of demolition on the site, and you will continue to see a uptick in um trucks coming in and out of the site to deliver and transport materials and equipment. As mentioned, there is excavation that will continue in support of the substation along Champlain Street, and what crews are doing is installing underground infrastructure to energize the substation. And so, what they're encountering on Champlain Street is a lot of water that is entering the trench in which they are digging in, and they're hand digging in that area. That's why that operation will take a significant period of time. But as they're trenching, what they're encountering is a lot of water that needs to be pumped out of the trench to ensure that once they're putting in the infrastructure that is structurally sound, and then also to support the workers while they're there. And so what is required is a small pumping station that is mobile. And what typically takes place is that there is a flatbed truck, not a huge truck, but a little bit bigger than a pickup truck that will have a generator and the actual mobile station that's there, and it will take up about four parking spaces on the, I believe, the west side of the street. And as they're continuing to hand dig, that mobile pumping station will continue with that crew down the street. And so because they're hand digging in the area, because as they're continuing to hand dig, they'll have to go underneath Marie Reed Elementary School, so they cannot do normal construction. That takes a long period of time to do, and that's why it was such a long period of time that was on the notice that went out.
I appreciate that. Commissioners, any questions, comments about that?
Yeah, I just have a question, which maybe this is a dumb question, but if a water pump is needed to pump out water under construction, like what happens once the water pump goes away? Like, doesn't that mean there's water that's like that's interfering? Like, what will happen once those pumps go away?
Well, that typically sometimes takes place in this type of construction. Sometimes it could be because of a water source that's nearby, or it could be because of a utility infrastructure like DC Water or something that, could potentially have water breaches. So it's a myriad of different reasons, but they're skilled to know exactly how to get the water out. And they already knew that there was water there because we do a
Okay.
lot of construction surveying before. So this was not something that was, just came up, was something that they kind
Okay.
of knew. But in order to make sure that you're constructing the trench that will, be, constructed and remain in place, this is the type of method that they have to do while they're doing this type of construction. Because again, they're going into the ground very deep, and then they're hand digging. So, this has to take place. And it takes a long time. And we've done hand digging in certain aspects of the Capital Grid project before in other areas. And because you're doing that, it does take a long period of time.
Okay, thank you. I'll
Well,
hope for
thank you.
good weather. Yeah, it sounds like hand digging when it's cold sounds horrible.
Yes, no, but yes, it's quite intensive, but we're working on it. So this is one of the methods, and then so what'll happen is they'll continue to go south along Champlain Street until they come to the
Okay.
intersection of um Champlain and Old Morgan School, and then eventually, and I can follow back up with you all on this. We will have to close down Champlain Street because there'll be several different activities taking place at that area. So we've already notified the apartment complex, but just wanted to make sure to notify you all as well that this will be something that will take place later on in the year. Not anytime soon, but um, sometime late summer, early fall.
I appreciate that. Sounds like all of the fun challenges of the project are starting to arise, right?
Yes, it's really starting to pick up. They've completely demolished the site, and they are putting up the structural. They're going to soon begin putting up the structural beams to keep up the facade of the building in the front, and then they'll start to unearth a lot of the ground. So you'll start to see a lot of trucks come in and out of the site. If not already, it's just going to increase. So you'll start to see that. So, this is really going to start now all the way up and throughout the spring.
Got it. Well, appreciate you being here and keeping us updated and looking forward to the next one. Have a nice,
Okay, no, thank
yeah,
you.
take care.
Thank you all.
All right, looks like next hand up is Kristen Barden from the Adams Morgan Partnership and Business Improvement District. Welcome, Kristen. How are you doing?
Hey, good, thanks. So a couple things. I don't know if Stephanie is still on from the Mokers, but she mentioned holiday trees, and I wanted to just clarify a little something about that because DPW has made this super confusing. And I apologize for them, but I had an exchange today with the director because like it's not that hard, but they make it really hard. So yeah, it's just holiday trees, right, folks? Until the end of February, you can put your holiday tree in the tree box, and DPW will collect it and mulch it. If your tree doesn't go out until after February 28th. Then you have to put it with your regular trash. Okay. So what inevitably happens is that people put their tree in the tree box after the point at which they're no longer collecting them. And then they sit in the tree boxes for years. Or a clean team like ours then has to then take care of these trees. And of course, we can't mulch them, right? Like we don't have that capacity. So they just go into landfill. So put your tree out now in the tree box. If not, put it with your trash. But I really wish the DPW would make this simpler and have people put their trees in one place, just one place. Don't make it complicated. Put your trees in one place. And that's what I've encouraged the director to do. Will they do that or not? I have no idea. But it seems like every year they change this. And it's super aggravating for everyone, right? Because the public wants clear instructions, right? And this is not clear. So anyhow, that's my that's my 2 cents on holiday tree collection. So and I'm happy to talk to people more about that, but I wish DPW would make this simpler. So a couple of quick updates from us. So date nights will be coming up again in February. And this is a really fun promotion. People can win some really great prizes to restaurants and an overnight stay at the Line Hotel, and really some really special kind of date night packages. So all you need to do to win one of those is just enter the contest in with an email address. So it's super easy. You'll be seeing more about that. Brian teased it in today's newsletter. So you'll see that if you get our newsletter. And if you don't, please sign up. We just changed the provider that we use to send out those weekly newsletters. So you may see a few changes. We're using MailChimp now. We had been using iContact. MailChimp is much more user-friendly, so we're hoping this is a good switch. But anyhow, if you didn't get it or if you see something that doesn't work, please let us know because this is the first newsletter with MailChimp. And then 18th Street. So as you all know, the pilot project, the Streetery pilot project with DDOT ended with the implementation of the permanent regulations, so which went into effect on December 1st. So they're still in the process. I know it's over a month now. They're still in the process of collecting all the platforms and railings. I don't know why it's taken so long. Lots of people have asked. Its First Source is the contractor that's working with DDOT on that. I don't really know why it's taking them so long. They seem to come for like 3 hours, take some stuff away, and then don't come back for another week. So it's frustrating, but it is what it is. The planters are staying, the really large planters. We will continue to water them and take care of those. I think there's 8 of those large planters. The bike station, the bike share station in front of Van Leeuwen will stay. And then DDOT is going to start a process sometime this spring. I'm not exactly sure when, but there'll be a community process to look at the design of 18th Street and figure out together with all of us whether or not there's tweaks that need to be made. So what they're going to be doing as soon as all the platforms are removed is they're going to be restriping it back to the striping that was there before the streeteries. So the 2020 striping. So that will be done, probably in the next few weeks. They do need a period of fairly warm weather. It's too bad it couldn't have been done this week because this week would have worked. It's definitely warm enough to do painting, but they do need 3 or 4 days of warm weather to do the restriping. So they said that by the end of January. I'm really hoping that's the case because it's a little confusing. The striping doesn't really match what's happening. So, but look for information from DDOT later this spring about this community process. So I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work. It'll probably take about 6 months, I'm guessing, the back and forth with DDOT and the notice of intent and all that stuff. So, but it's, we're happy to be a part of it. I hope the ANC will all, hope you'll all participate as well. This is, an important community process. So, and I'm sure the council member will be involved as well. Yeah, since she's part of the reason why this is happening. and I won't say more, but yeah. I think that's all from me. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, thank you for that. There was a question related to something you said about the trees. I think that for people in multi-unit buildings, you can still do same process, put the trees in the curb box. If it's not getting picked up, do a 301 request. After February 28th, just put it out with your regular trash, just as you mentioned. So just to reiterate that, I think it's the same process.
Yeah, yeah, I think it is the same. Yeah.
Commissioners, any questions, comments? All right, thank you very much, Christian. Nice to see you.
Yeah, sure thing.
Good in the air so far. Looks like the last hand up right now is from Councilmember Nadeau's office, Eliza Roche Robinson. Welcome. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hey everyone, can you guys see me and hear me?
We can, yeah.
Okay, great. Good evening and Happy New Year, everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Eliza Roche Robinson, and I work for Councilmember Nadeau as her Constituent Services Specialist. So I'm just going to give you guys a few quick updates. Shouldn't take too long. First off, we'll start with DPW. So fall leaf collection is still ongoing. The second pass in Section A began this past Monday, so January 5th. And if you have any questions about that or want to check your section and when they will come by, you can go to dpw.dc.gov/leaf. Next is a quick housing win. So the council passed the first reading of a bill from the council member to include transit workers, like metro operators and staff, to participate in the employer assisted housing program, which offers down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers, which is amazing. This helps the people who keep our city moving, live in the city they serve, and helps WMATA retain workers. Next is new legislation. So, with the new year, the council member is introducing several bills focused on housing and accountability. First, there's legislation to require 5-year housing and affordable housing targets, along with clear plans for areas that aren't meeting them. Second, there's a bill to address missed government deadlines. If agencies don't submit required reports, they wouldn't be able to indefinitely withhold information. So that's about transparency and responsiveness, which is super important. Third, the council member is introducing legislation to modernize the Housing Production Trust Fund, making it more flexible so that we can build new housing, preserve affordability, and support tenant purchases. And lastly, there's legislation to reform the Office of Contracting and Procurement so it works better for agencies and the public. So we'll be sharing updates on all of these bills as they move forward on our website. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out or ask questions. Next is substance use disorder outreach. So the council members' bill heard by the health committee this month would expand the substance use disorder outreach pilot currently serving wards 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The council member substance use disorder outreach pilot has already led to a 51% decrease in non-fatal overdoses on the 500 block of T Street Northwest in under a year. That's a really big win. If funded, this bill would make the program permanent throughout the Department of Behavioral Health. And last update is that we are hiring for another constituent services specialist as our director just previously left us to support Ward 1 residents and small businesses. So if you have any questions about that or would like to find some information, you can go to the website, brianneknadeau.com/news. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And you can always reach out to me if you have any issues, concerns, questions, anything. Thank you guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the update. Any questions, comments, commissioners? It's like, all right. Thanks again for being here. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
All right, so that is, give it one more second, the end of the public comments period, or public announcements, excuse me. So consent agenda, just that's not really up for discussion, but just to kind of clarify, basically the proposal that we've discussed is just to keep everything the same in terms of officer positions and committee assignments, with the exception that Commissioner Balke would be chair of the ABC committee. I also don't think that, like I read our bylaws, I don't think we need to like officially rename it, but it doesn't really hurt to have something in writing that we can refer to if we ever need to. So changing the C to mean cannabis instead of control, basically, which I think is probably appropriate given that's become something that we can review and that exists in DC. Although, as Commissioner Balaki noted, maybe that'll change, and who knows what the future holds in terms of what types of businesses we're allowed to discuss and what licensed operations are part of ANSI's purview. Not a problem tonight. Consent agenda, I guess we technically have a last opportunity. Anyone have any issues with an item that they want to take off to discuss? Okay, if not, consent agenda is passed. Welcome to near the almost exact same cast and positions from 2025 to ANC1C. Regular agenda. I guess I'll say this. It's not an item in the agenda, but there is probably more than one, at least one item that has, for Commissioner Swanson Palmer, maybe you can remind me too, because we had a brief exchange of this. I think it's a zoning issue, or so at least a PZT item, where it's on me. I lost track of some emails over the holidays. I had some personal issues in my family that distracted me, and I just lost track of one that has a date for a hearing, I think on the 22nd of January. Basically, it's the questions of, and we don't necessarily have to discuss this here, but should that go through the committee? Should we ask for some sort of extension? We'll decide what to say. I just wanted to raise it publicly just because that was my bad. I should have been more on top of the dates. Did I miss something, Commissioner?
No, I think you got it all right. So their hearing is just on the 22nd. And so obviously we would have liked for them to present here today, but we both, not just on you, Commissioner Wood, I also did not see the email, and I think it's in my SMD. So I'm trying to figure that out and what that looks like.
Okay. Well, we can talk to Commissioner Ficillo and figure something out. And hopefully, I mean, some
Yeah.
of these things is kind of a formality for the ANC to be involved. Other times it's not. I have to look into it and we'll see. But wanted to at least raise that to the public's attention because, yeah, I should have done better. And I will catch up on the other emails and hopefully no one else has a deadline this month that I'm overlooking. I think that mostly the ABC stuff is February type of deadlines. So we should be able, at least one I saw was February 9th. So we should be able to put that in, and I'll discuss that elsewhere with the appropriate commissioners. All right, so the rest of our agenda, general business. So these are items that did not come with support from any committee. The first is the quarterly financial report for Q1 2026, as well as quarterly transactions. Commissioner Olson, would you like to give us a brief introduction?
Yeah, you all can follow the links there and open those up. I don't think there's anything super surprising in here. Our inflow comes from the money from the city and a paltry amount from interest from the bank. Money goes out to communications, which is things, I actually don't remember what that is, but that's things, that's like our website or, these sorts of things. Grants, and then purchase of service, which is primarily our consulting fees that go out, bank fees. That's the money that goes in and out. You can also review the quarterly transaction line list. If folks have any questions about any transactions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, we approve it and move on.
Yeah, I don't have any. I mean, this is something I probably should have just raised with you or mentioned at some point, just privately. The new, well, newish system for inputting QFRs, from your experience, has that been okay? Because it's changed a few times in the last few years. And I think this is the best I've seen it. It seems that it's gotten better over time. Would you agree? You're on mute, but it seems like you're nodding in approval, which is good.
Yes, slow. And at the risk of like this being sort of an incredible overshare, like this is what it looks like, and you come in here and you say for every single bank statement, you got to put it in here, you got to put in all of our minutes. I'll put it in the quarterly financial report when it's approved. And then most of the work comes in here, and it's every single transaction that we make gets put in here, and then every single one of these, aside from things like bank interest, gets the relevant documentation. So like for I paid our taxes, there's a receipt for the taxes, and there's a voucher that says who signed off on us spending those $13 to go out there. So it had some bugs early on, but I think it's fairly mature now. Yeah,
It's good to hear.
it's just like a fair amount of drudgery to get it all in there.
In the past, uploading the data was often an imperfect process that would be riddled with errors, and it seems that this is better. I think I've expressed this in the past. My personal opinion is that the treasurer's position should not exist, and that paid staff from DC government should do that work because it's the only person that actually has risk for getting in trouble because there's money's being exchanged. But we're good. Our hands are clean, and you do a great job, so I appreciate that. Any other questions, comments, commissioners? Anyone in attendance? This is pretty straightforward, but kind of one of those things that we have to do in order to be on the good side of DC government and keep getting money from them so that we can reinvest that in the community. All right. Yeah, I'll move to approve these. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any last words? All those in favor of approving a Q1 2026, et cetera, et cetera. I'll say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes unanimously 7-0. Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Next, we have, I don't think that there, I don't know, we may or may not need to vote on an item, I forget, but there's a presentation on a correction to a previous application regarding the Embassy of the Republic of Cuba. I apologize, I don't remember who said they're going to speak, so if you could raise your hand and we'll find you. Carlos, looks like you're up. Thank you. And we'll hear a few words from you. From what I recall, this was a very small change, but I guess they'll make sure that we understand the ramifications of what they're proposing. So the floor is all yours, Carlos. How are you doing?
Hi, good evening.
Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you too. What we are doing here is a very small correction. The board of the BZA approved our application March 12th last year. After reviewing the final order, that it took some weeks to have the written order, we identified some inaccuracy in the description of the trash enclosure. I will pull out for you to see the photo. Can I wait? I think I have to share screen here, right?
Yeah. In general, in theory works, but sometimes, okay, it looks like it's going. Yeah.
You're looking at that, right?
Yeah, that looks clear.
Good. So what we saw is that the description says the enclosure will be located at the southwest corner of the subject of our property, 22 feet wide and accessible from the interior of the lot, but not from Mozart Place. The enclosure will be bounded by a solid opaque fence and will align in height with the new security fence. So what's going on here is that this is the enclosure here. This side on the right? And what we are going to do here is exactly the same that you see on the Lithuanian embassy on Mozart Place. They have an enclosure for the trash and for the emergency generator, with a gate very similar to this one with this opaque fence. And then the people who come to collect the trash, they open this gate, they collect the trash, they take it to the trash bins and take it to the truck. There was some kind of confusion. Maybe they thought that we were gonna have a driveway here, which is not the case. This is only for persons to come in and take out the trash. So I guess that's what happened, because they are saying not to have this here, but it's exactly the same as the Lithuanian embassy. And so this is the inaccuracy. The other inaccuracy is that this other fence that you see surrounding the enclosure is not going to be opaque. The only thing that's going to be opaque is this one, because there will be the trash inside. So it's better to have it this way. Exactly the same as the Lithuanian embassy, but on this side, on all the surrounding fence of the enclosure will be clear like this one here. The rest of this is exactly the same project as you saw before, but since there was this inaccuracy in the order, we decided to do it right and correct this and have not a driveway, not a car or vehicle entrance, but just an entrance for the persons who come to collect the trash to be able to get the trash bins out. So this is basically what we are having here. Let me pull out maybe some other, wait. Hmm. To have to stop sharing first, I think.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
This one here. Let me try to share this one. Okay, so this is the drawing of the whole lot. The embassy is at the front here, and then this side on the left of your screens is the the rear, the back of the embassy, the back of the lot that is facing Motor Place, and this is gonna be this bold line is gonna be the fence. The enclosure will be this that is coming inside inward the lot, and then there will be a gate on this side that will be the access for the people to collect the trash. So this is exactly the same project that you saw before, but the wording at the end when it was written, it was not correct, and so we wanted to make it right. So
Okay, thank you for that. So I'll open it to questions from commissioners first before I go. Commissioner Swanson Palmer.
Thanks so much for coming and showing this to us again, because I know it is very similar to what you guys showed us before. And totally okay if you don't know the answer to this question, because I think it's a bit in the weeds, but do you know if the folks who will be collecting your trash will be pulling up on Euclid or will they be driving down Mozart? I know you said that they will be pulling the trash cans out of the enclosure, so I'm just wondering how that will work. And I ask only because you may have heard me mention earlier that Euclid is just full of trash right now. And we're trying to stop that from happening. So I'm wondering what that's going to look like. But again, happy to talk about this offline if it's too in the weeds question.
yeah, it's they're gonna collect the trash bins and take them to the truck. It's exactly the same as they do in the school and across the road. It's exactly the same as they do in the Lithuanian embassy. They will ring the bell. We will open the gate remotely. They will open, bring the trash bins, put them in the truck, and then return them when they are empty. That's basically what's going to happen.
Okay. So it sounds like if I'm thinking about where the Lithuanian embassy is, I mean, it
Just
sounds like
next
it's
to us.
one
It's exactly if you saw the enclosure in our drawing, just next to that enclosure is the enclosure of the Lithuanian embassy. They're going to be next one to the other.
Okay. So I suppose if it's working now for the Lithuanian embassy, it'll work for you all too. But if not, I'll be in touch for sure. Thank you.
Anything else, commissioners? I have two kind of different questions. So first question, just to clarify, are you seeking any, or has the agency contacts that you've spoken to, are they looking for additional ANC support, or is the support that we've previously provided sufficient? Because it sounds like it's a pretty small change in language.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, we are an embassy. We don't want to do something that is not correct. I mean, we are respectful of the law and all the regulations. So we want to make it right. I mean, even our lawyers said, but this is the order from BCA, but the permit from Department of Buildings has been corrected, so you can proceed. But we said, okay, but we want to have everything correct. That's why I'm not sure legally whether you have to approve again or not. But it's basically, as I said, the same project that you already approved. But since the order from BCA has this inaccuracy, then we want them to issue the correct wording, the correct situation, the correct description of the project.
Yeah, so unless another commissioner has a different idea, I would say we can just advance without us needing to take any action, and we can refer to this meeting as a presentation to clarify if needed. And it doesn't seem like it'd be something that we have to, but sometimes these small things get turned into weird issues. As you kind of noted, different agencies and offices often contradict each other, so sometimes we have to navigate that. My second question is like mostly unrelated, but I'm just curious because we don't get this opportunity to discuss this kind of issue so often. You mentioned a neighboring embassy. Uh, like it's often this kind of like conflicting, like literally taking out trash in the neighborhood and also like national geopolitical kind of matters and representation. Does discussing these local issues like the raising of the wall height and things like that with neighboring embassies ever become like a politically or geopolitically complicated question, or is that pretty easy to work with a neighbor? Because we don't really get to hear about this kind of dynamics that often. I'm just
No, we are neighbors. We need each other basically, and we practice courtesy among embassies. So usually, even they issue letters of acceptance or whatever it's called for our presentation to BZA, both because we have the Lithuanian embassy on one side and the Polish embassy at the other side, and they were both very cooperative with the project. So we cooperate each other because we are neighbors and we have to. I mean, we need them today. They will need us tomorrow. So it's
uh, thanks.
good relations.
I'm glad to hear that. Thanks for the answer. It's
Thank
good
you.
to hear that diplomacy is still surviving in some ways. All right, commissioners, those in attendance, any other questions or comments on this? Like I said, I don't think we need to take action, but if that changes or if someone from BZA or somewhere comes out and says they want us to, contribute extra commentary, or whatever, we can do so. But I appreciate your being here tonight and
Thank you very much. Good night.
have a good evening. All right, so one other agenda item, and then I have something to announce or to clarify later regarding a previous item. Discussion of Department of Transportation's strategic bikeways plan. This is not something that I don't think that anyone's proposed any action or anything, but does anyone want to introduce this plan? Forget where we kind of discussed it collectively, I think, through emails or messages. Uh, I think that they've already had a Ward 1 meeting, is that correct? At one point, we supported their application, or they requested us to support them asking for the line, and then they didn't have the line as the venue for that meeting. So whatever, it's fine. But I know that they've been trying to go ward by ward. Anyone have any comments, questions about this, or I guess an introduction or any commentary on the process in general of this? And if you're in attendance, that can include you as well. If you want to chime in, raise your hand. Yeah, Commissioner Diamond, go ahead.
Yeah, I went to two of the meetings. I went to the Ward 1 meeting and the Ward 3 meeting, and there's a very comprehensive plan on how to make the bike lanes connect, and they were eliciting community input on like various different plans. And if, I had to go to two meetings because the amount of information was really overwhelming, and it was unclear to me from the email that the commissioners got sort of what they were requesting from us, because the community meetings were really like the first step in just getting out, doing outreach on what do people feel like the city should be doing to make the bike lanes more productive, more efficient, and more user friendly and more equitable across the district. So I'm not really sure what the request is in that email.
Yeah, I don't have the email that you're citing up, but I mean, in general, it seems like the process, someone can correct me if I'm off here. They're going through kind of different tiers of how the community is kind of, for lack of a better term, defined and going, okay, residents, specific stakeholders like ANCs, and trying to just kind of solicit general input and then kind of refine that as it goes forward. Does that sound accurate? I mean, is there a deadline or some sort of time frame? I haven't seen one in terms of when they want comments from, I guess, anyone and specifically ANSIs. I can't remember. I would imagine in general for the next, because on the website it says what, through March. So it seems like we have time to kind of continue to think and solicit further input from residents. If anyone says, oh, this street, this needs to be done differently, or this part of the neighborhood, etc., whatever the concern might be. Because nothing comes to mind off the top of my head, but I do know that transportation safety is often one of the issues that gets a lot of comments and concerns from the community. So that could change. Anyone have any thoughts on this? Commissioner Laughlin.
I guess I'm thinking, I feel like in our ANC, like we've seen a lot of bike infrastructure go in, so like that's great. So, but I'm just thinking like I guess it's just a question of where we think where something's missing, where there's not that connection. So, are there other streets that need a counterflow bike lane? Like that's one that we had put on linear, which has been really useful for bike riders. So I guess that's what I would encourage among us or in the community, like just think where there's maybe gaps. But I say like it's been since I've become an ANC and just moving into Adams Morgan, like over 10 years ago, we've seen a lot of progress. So I guess it's like where do we need to fill in to sort of to build off of that?
Yeah, that's a good point. Commissioner Balaki, wait.
Yeah, thank you. I just, as I think I mentioned in the emails a little earlier, when I read WABA's sort of list of things they'd like to do in Ward 1, I noticed they suggested a protected bike lane on 19th Street where Oyster Adams School is. And that's, I mentioned the DDOT study that they were just doing in the previous quarter. It's 19th is sort of a miniature version of the problems we had with Columbia Road. That is, there's a lot going on there, and there's not enough pavement to handle everything that everybody wants to do. And, they're looking at things like, should this be one way? Should we get rid of the parking on the east side of the street? Basically, what can we do to make the traffic move more smoothly and go through these? There's an intersection at California, there's an intersection at Vernon, and Vernon, probably needs a stop sign. But the point I want to make is nobody has ever suggested we need a bike lane on 19th Street. I do see bicyclists occasionally going up and down. Uh, there's at least a dozen really nice new bicycle, storage loops outside of Oyster Adams, but I don't see a lot of kids using them. But I'm just sort of throwing up a little cautionary flag here. As we go ahead and look at what WABA suggested and what other people suggest, I just wanted to sort of say, let's proceed with a little bit of caution on 19th, because it's like, I just don't see where you can put a protected bike lane there without making this current situation even worse. So with that, I'll yield back. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that reminds me of something I've said almost exact same commentary on the past, which is 18th Street. Of course, we don't know exactly how 18th Street will go. And that's an item we can address maybe next month, maybe inviting someone from DDOT to kind of discuss what's going on with 18th Street and how can we impact that. Maybe not. Some will involve some sort of bike infrastructure that's, I guess, to be determined. But in any case, like you just reminded me of something I've said specifically before, is like we don't have the physical space. Like you do the calculation of the surface area and all of the things that people want there, something has to give, unfortunately. And 19th is an example of that. There's another hand up that went down. I don't know if
I had raised mine briefly, but I think I answered. I was confused. There was a little confusion because on the DDOT website it mentioned how the comment period had closed, but I guess the ANC notice or letter submission is a little more indefinite.
yeah, they usually have that go. I mean, I guess it depends, but often it's kind of a bit more, especially because of meeting schedules and kind of quote unquote elevated status for no pay, right? All right. Anyone in attendance have any questions, comments, suggestions, etc. on this? Like we said, we can continue to kind of field responses and gauge if any action on our part might be necessary. And if we can get DDOT to come to a meeting, that would be a good time to, I guess, put some pressure on them to give us some answers and clarity. All right, so that's the last item on the agenda. I did want to go back really briefly, an important point to clarify. So on the consent agenda that was passed, we're going to experiment with a slightly different schedule for meetings. In the past, I don't even know how many years, for several years, we had kind of the first Wednesday of every month is the main meeting. That's not changing. In the past, the subsequent Wednesdays were different committees. We're changing it to because we don't have that many committee meetings usually, the necessity for all of them to meet. The third Wednesday of every month will be the kind of committee night. And if multiple committees need to hear, we'll kind of stagger it half an hour or adjust that if it seems like it might go a bit longer. But the main point is normal full ANC meetings will continue to be on the first Wednesday of the month. And if it's a committee meeting, it'll be on the third Wednesday, of course, barring if there's any federal holidays or anything like that. I don't think there are that conflict with the schedule, but we'll double check. And also, if it seems like in a month or two or whatever that's not working, that this change is not great, we can always go back and fix it. But this was just kind of a way to try to think of making things more efficient for all the commissioners, for the people in the community, so we can kind of have things like the office hours that commissioners have been going to and whatever else. And also for people like Sean who are paid to be on these meetings, it makes it so their schedule predictability can be a lot more stable, which means that they can do a better job. So, if anyone from the community has any questions, you can raise your hand now and ask or reach out separately. But hopefully that'll keep things simpler, but transition to change can be confusing at first. So if it seems weird, please reach out and hopefully we'll alleviate those doubts. And
So that
uh,
would mean that our next
yeah,
committee's meeting would be January 28th.
21st. So in 2 weeks. So it'd always be 2 weeks after this meeting.
Oh, so not the last Wednesday. Okay. All
So
right.
it's alternating so that there'd be a week with this meeting, week off, week with committees, week off, sometimes 2 weeks off if there's 5 Wednesdays in a month.
Oh, and that's this month. That's why. Okay. So our next the next set of ANC meetings because of committees would be January 21st, but it'll be the back to back to back if there is an item for that meet. Okay.
Anywhere from 0 to 3 committees would meet. I mean, just because, like I've said, we've in the last year plus, and speaking for myself, like 5 years, most of the times it's like 10 minutes or
Yeah,
less. And
I know
sometimes
PSBs always, you usually cancel them.
exactly. And there's like there's a lot of times just not a need to have it. And also like the main committee or the main commission meeting is often sufficient to address some of the bigger issues. So we're just trying to make that an efficient schedule. We'll see how it goes. Appreciate all of the input that everyone, I think it was Commissioner Olson that proposed the idea. So if it goes well, you get credit. If it goes badly, you also get credit. How's that sound? And on that, we'll adjourn. Thank you for everyone. Hope that the rest of your January goes well. Good evening.